Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is take two. We are working on doing a co-live with Leah Kosatsky. I'm just trying to bring her in now so that we can our girl talk on giving yourself permission. There you are. How's it
Hi.
going? You're not frozen anymore. Yay.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
Good,
Yeah.
thanks.
So I'm so excited to have this chat. I'm so excited to get started and to just, I don't know, eh, this whole story that we've been talking about giving yourself permission is something that, I don't know, it just runs really deep. And I think that it connects with a lot of people. So I'm excited to hear what everyone that joins. Hi, there's a couple people that are watching right now. Hello. Welcome. And I'm so excited to just hear
Hi, everyone.
more about what you have to say and what everyone else has to say about it. Wondering, should we start just by introducing ourselves? Because there's people that are coming on that know you, some people that know me, so we can kind of introduce ourselves and talk about
Very
who we
good
are, where we
idea.
come from.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, absolutely. So, hi everyone. I am Chelsea Frederick. I am coming to you from Calgary. Hi, Valerie. I am a naturopath and a transformational healer. And more recently, I've also taken on the title of feminine wealth advocate. I worked as a naturopath for 10 years. I love natural health and healing. And then I've always been so passionate about transformation, about helping women, especially, that's mostly the people, the clients that come to see me, helping them transform their lives. And I think one of the really key pieces that was missing for me for such a long time was that abundance, the ability to accumulate wealth, and the ability of women to really take charge of their own finances and to really just do everything they can to get so clear with where they are and what they're going. Hi, Eileen, how are you? And just really put so much of their energy into understanding how all of that works, how manifestation works, how creating wealth and abundance works. So altogether, that's kind of where I work. I work at the intersection of health, wealth, and spirituality. That's me. How about you, Leah?
Oh, I love it. So before I dive into what I do and who I am, well, my name is Leah Kosatsky, and I just want to tell the audience, like, I'm so grateful that they're here today and that they're watching either now or in the future. But just the fact that Chelsea and I were discussing, many different things about life and business and love and all that stuff, and then we came up with this, you know what? Why wouldn't it, like, how cool would it be for somebody to be a fly on the wall and like listen to our conversation on Girl Talk and giving ourselves permission? So I really honor all of you that are here today to listen to this talk of ours, and I hope that you guys can gain something from it. And if you like it, please share it with your peeps. Um,
Mhm.
so what I do is I'm a business and life purpose coach for women who own spiritual businesses, and I help them uncover their limiting beliefs, um, cure their or heal their money mindset and really step into their divine feminine power. And in doing so in like a graceful and ease type of way where it feels really good and authentic and one that caters to their lifestyle as a mom if they are a mom. So that's what I do, and I've been doing it for many years now. And I also had an agency, translation and communications agency for over a decade as well. So
Mhm.
I'm here and I'm so excited to talk to you. And I'm another thing is that it's so exciting that like the two of us got to know each other and we're both Canadian and we
I
live like
know.
on opposite ends of the country, but I feel like I know you.
Well, yeah, and we should share that. Totally. It feels like we've been friends forever. We had this connection. We actually met through it's an Australian connection. We met through a group that we're both in. It's sort of like a business education group for online women in business. And I think that, I mean, of course, we do a lot of sharing within our group. And we just actually, I forgot, I met you when I first joined the group, right? So, yeah. I just really felt connected to Leah immediately. And yeah, I think it might be a little bit of the Canadian connection, but also because of our backgrounds, we have similar stories, almost like parallel lives, just with the things that we've been through. And I'm sure we'll share a lot of that as we go. But overall, yeah, I think that it's just one of those things. I think that, it's how life works. Every now and then, you just meet people that kind of come into your path that, it's just this sort of divine guidance and it's like a divine introduction, and I think that it's just really exciting. So yeah, we started having chats on the side and decided we wanted to really start to present this to everyone so that we can help more and more women with this important theme that we're talking about, giving yourself permission. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just so you know, for everybody that's watching, like we're going to be doing this for several Thursdays. So far we have like 4 of them planned out. So every Thursday at around the same time, um, just so you know. So you put it in your calendar.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So Thursdays around this time, and we're going to start really general, talking about just kind of what giving ourselves permission has meant to us and how that's really shown up for us in our own personal stories. So we're going to just be kind of talking a little bit about that, and then we'll carry on for the next few weeks with specific themes. So those are going to be things like business, parenting, relationships, all sorts of things, all sorts of areas in our lives where we have the ability. Sometimes we don't realize it, and I think that's a key part of my story is just not realizing that that was something that I could do, and that was needed, right, to actually be able to give myself permission. There's a lot of waiting around for someone else to say, hey,
Mhm.
it's time. And interestingly enough, it doesn't really work out so well that way. So but
Yeah.
do you want to share a little bit about, kind of what inspired you? Because I'm going to give you credit. You are the one that came up with the name. So it's on it's you, girl. So
Thank you.
I'm curious. I don't know if I ever really asked you, kind of like how you came up with it, where you thought about it.
Yeah, it was so random. It was like in a conversation, hey, why don't we just do this? I
Okay.
think that was the giving ourselves permission to just do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really interesting because I used to think that one, either like the way that someone would give me permission or I would give myself permission was really in two ways. One, angels would come down from the sky with like their instruments and it would be like, woo, and then I would have permission, like all of a sudden, right? And that never happened. Or I would have a breakdown to break through, and then I would all of a sudden have permission to
Mm-hmm.
do what it was that I wanted to do. And it just doesn't happen that way. Like, you know, we wake up the same day, it's like Groundhog Day every single day. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, what exactly am I waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I felt like I was waiting for myself. And it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of silly because, I guess it's not silly. Like we are brought up in a society, well, the majority of North America is brought up in a society where we're kind of told what to do, what our life path is. Go to school, do this, do that, brush your teeth, do your homework, go to university, find a good partner, get married, have kids, and then everyone else is giving us permission, and then all of a sudden we realize that hey, wait a second, like is this actually what I want to do? So yeah, so I came up with that as we were talking about our backgrounds really, and what it was that really brought us together, which was being a single mama, um, just navigating relationships and running successful businesses, um, and catering all of that to our lifestyle. Like I was like, well, you know what, we gave ourselves permission to do that. I think other people need to hear that they too can give themselves permission, and we don't actually have to physically do that. Like you watching this video right now, our audience, like in some part of it, like you are wanting to give yourself permission to succeed, to love, to receive more money, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what inspired it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
pretty
So,
much. Yeah.
and like for you, was it, how did you figure it out for yourself? Like, was it, like, was there a moment? Was there a moment for you that it kind of came clear? Because I know for me, like when I think about it, it's
Hmm.
like I didn't. It's one of those things. Like I think I was completely asleep to it, right? Like of course you don't know when you don't know that it's a possibility. Like even when you were talking about, that kind of set pattern that we all have, sort of that expectation of what we're supposed to do, like or kind of the I guess what we've been given permission to do is very. It was kind of very. It's like this one narrow straight road, and I know for me, I found that so boring that I did everything else but I still wasn't giving myself permission. It was like I was avoiding kind of what was expected. And, to actually really realize that, okay, it's time for me to take the reins and change course. Of course that
Hmm.
one way of going is boring. So there's a million other opportunities that are available. So for me, I know for me it took quite a long time and a lot of mistakes before I really
Mm.
realized it. So I know there for me was a moment. I'm curious for you, like if there was like this like major turning point aha moment or if it was kind of like a slow, did it come up slowly?
Yeah, yeah. So, like kind of like you, where yeah, there were a lot of mistakes made along the way. I think that I mean there are just so many like big moments, like pivotal moments. But one that I really remember is after I had my first baby boy, and I went back to work after mat leave. And as you know, in Canada, we could take like really long mat leaves, and it's awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
I went back to work, and I was just so heartbroken. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? This isn't okay. I can't leave my baby at daycare 50 hours a week. He's there longer than I'm actually working,
Yeah.
and he's just a baby. So it was kind of like this crushing moment where I was like, there must be another way. And I kept
Mm-hmm.
saying that to myself. There must be another way. I will find another way. I didn't know how. I didn't know much about, manifestation and the laws of the universe and all that stuff. I kind of knew, but I just like kept myself open to trying to understand how can I make this work for me and my family, like create a lifestyle that I actually wanted. And so in that moment of me saying like there must be another way, that was like the beginning of me giving myself permission to
Mm-hmm.
do something different.
Yeah,
Really. Yeah. Yeah.
I can absolutely relate to
Yeah.
that. I think becoming a mother is a huge, I mean, it already is a huge turning point and there's so much that
Hmm.
happens, right? It changes us and it takes us a while to also just kind of come out of that cocoon. You're right, the first 12 months when you're with your baby and then to have that abrupt change all of a sudden going into work, it was a little bit different for me. I actually, because I was self-employed at the time, that was when I was building up my naturopathic practice, and I went back at 3 months. I started working again at 3 months, but just 10 hours a week. And it was kind of this slow introduction back to work. It was still not really that ideal and that I kind of wanted a little bit more time with my baby. But
Hmm.
but you're right. Like I think that it starts to change the way you look at things. It changes your priorities, of course, and it really if you're doing something that doesn't sit well with you or doesn't feel quite like it's the right thing at the time and you much rather be spending time with your baby, then it's like, yes, it does really bring up all of these questions of, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be also something else that could be more suited for me as a mother now. Now that I'm in
Hmm.
a new role as well, I still want to support my family, and I want to also, for me, it's really been important for me to be a role model for my girls. Like even
Mm.
as they're little, now I have a 10-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and it's like they're watching what we're doing, and I think that
Big
also,
time.
just having that realization that they need to learn down the road that they get to give themselves permission too, and so it's so important that they see us doing that. They see us not feeling like we're trapped or feeling like we're stuck. And I certainly felt that way back then, that I was
Yeah.
trapped and stuck and it didn't feel good.
Absolutely. You know what? Like, as I hear you talking, about how you serve as a role model for your daughters, in giving, like, in them giving themselves permission, they see their mom giving herself permission. Um, I was thinking about uh, just recently, actually, where I realized that, like I earn my own money. And I always
Mhm.
had this illusion that it was like randomly coming from somewhere else. I don't know how, like, what that was about, but it was something I obviously had to heal. And
Mhm.
then when I had that revelation, I was like, oh yeah, this is what I do, and I can do it even better. It was kind of like a block that I had, because like my partner at the time, he was earning money too, and so was I, but I felt like I was just relying on like an outer kind of force that wasn't really mine when it actually was mine already. It's not like I wasn't earning at all. So in that revelation, that was giving myself permission to be and do more and receive more. So I was like, wait a second. What was this illusion? Where was this from? Like I'm just like waiting for somebody to tell me, well, now you can actually like, make this much or you can have more business now. It was like, oh, it was kind of weird.
So I just so I'm understanding, were you at the time, were you saying that like it didn't feel like it was your money or because you were
Yeah.
employed, like you had an actual employer at the time? Was that the difference?
Well, an employer, and just like, I don't know what it was. I can't really put my finger on it, but it was kind of like I was earning my own money, but it wasn't really mine. It was kind of strange. It's like as if I was still living at home.
That's
And
interesting.
it's kind of weird. I don't really know how to explain it, but once I
Yeah.
had that breakthrough.
I get it. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure if I was hearing because I
Yeah.
can see how like when you're self-employed, yeah, like I mean, it's not much more empowering, right? Like yes, like I earned this money. I earned it. It's, even though if you're working at a company, right? Like no matter what you're doing, it's you're still earning it. But I think that now I get it now that I clarified because it's like it's funny how that's how mindset works, right? Like you can have
Yeah.
this sort of it's like this mental picture in your head of what's really going on in the background and depending on what that mental picture is and what that mental picture means, it's like the meaning behind it, it really affects everything. It affects, how we feel about ourselves. It affects how we feel about, how we're getting ready for the day. Um,
Yeah.
it really, and it's just this little shift. It wasn't like, change jobs. It's just change how you feel about your job and what it means and just the meaning of that hard work that you're doing. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what was your like what actually these days, like what's the biggest thing you've given yourself permission for?
The
Like to
biggest
actually
thing
be
these
healthy.
days,
Yeah.
like in the last,
Yeah.
well,
What's the
things have
biggest?
changed so much for me. I just am so much happier. I have so much more fun in my day because I came from this, like, I think most of us have this. I think it's just sort of this North American thing. And I know it because I used to see so many people in my practice that are burnt out and exhausted. But it's that go, 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 that work ethic of the only way to do it is to work your ass off, to work yourself to the bone, to exhaustion, and to kind of feel grumbly about it, Like I think that so many of us watched our parents. Oh, Marie just sent a message.
Oh,
Thanks, Marie.
hey.
Hi. Thanks. Well, hopefully you can catch the rest of it when you have a bit more time. Thank you so much for being here with us. Um,
Bye.
bye. So what was I saying? Just watching my parents grow up, they just kind of went to work and it was their job and they had to do it and everything like that. But there wasn't any pleasure. And I think that that's been the biggest thing for me as I've, learned
Mhm.
from other mentors that are really showing up and being, I think, really powerful leaders in this is the pleasure aspect of it, doing what I love. And it's really shifted the way that I work. I mean, I used to work in a clinical setting and I didn't really enjoy that. And what's I think so cool about the day and age we live in now is maybe decades ago that would have been my only option, but I feel like
Mhm.
now there's so many options. There's so many ways to. I mean, people are creating job descriptions. There's new job descriptions every single day, right? Where before it was like just a few, And so, anyways, I think for me, just having that realization that okay, I can create my work environment, my work life to be, I can set it up to be a way, in a way that brings me pleasure, that allows me downtime, that ensures that when I get my girls back, that I'm not burnt out, I'm not exhausted. I've actually had fun. Like my job, sometimes I'm like, is this really my job? Because it's so fun. So I think that's the big thing, is just giving myself permission to have that pleasure, that joy, that fun. And it really is so energizing to operate in that way. I think
Oh,
that's,
I love that. It
how about
sounds
you?
like, wow, giving yourself permission to have fun
Mhm.
and to be in joy. And I feel like it's like as you talk about it, it's like you're like flowing.
Aw.
It's so nice. It's so
It really
nice. Yeah.
is. Well,
Yeah.
and it's endless. There's so many things that you could do. Like we could even do a whole show on giving yourself permission to have pleasure, right? Like not even just at work, but
Hmm.
in life.
In
And
general, yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
really, I mean, yeah, that's I think what a lot of people are missing right now is that pleasure aspect of their
I'd
lives.
love to add on that. I'd love to add on that. So this is really interesting that you bring that up, the permission to have fun, pleasure. Um, I think I was telling this story the other day to my brothers and sisters, and they were like, "That's really interesting. We thought that you were like chill. We thought you like to chill out, right?" So one of my friends, good friends in Florida, so whenever I'd visit him, he'd say, "Okay, let's lounge. We're
Mhm.
gonna lounge at the pool, and we're gonna lounge at the beach." And I was like, what does that look like? Because I obviously cannot do that. And I remember vividly just being like, oh my God, I can't actually sit down and like sit on a long chair and just stare at nothing and just be there and relax, right?
Mhm.
And it was a huge struggle for me to be like giving myself permission to have fun, to relax, to just be in the moment and not have to worry about a million and one things going on in my life or my business or
Mhm.
like what do I need to do next? I need to clean that up. I need to do this. I need to do that. Like that was so anxiety ridden. And when I went to the spa the other day, I realized how far I've come because that was huge for me. Like my parents taught me never to sit down.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
then you're not being productive, right?
Yeah.
But like now, whenever I take time off or I'm like doing something that's in flow or fun or pleasurable, I have these amazing breakthroughs and like creative bursts and all kinds of stuff. Like just in the fact that like you and I were talking, taking the time just to like connect, we
Mhm.
like came up with this whole series. How cool is that? So yes, absolutely giving yourself to have fun, for pleasure, just to be in the flow and essence of who you are, like that lets so much in. Um, and little do we know that that when we are relaxing or napping or taking the time just to like, care for ourselves and have more fun, those are the times that creative bursts actually happen. More so than somebody that's like always anxious and stressed out and trying to like move, move, move.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I love that, love, love, love that take.
Well, and you added on it because it's like, it's not even just pleasure, it's give yourself permission to do nothing, to just sit there and
Yeah.
do absolutely nothing for really, a good amount of time. And I can totally relate to you. I used to, especially when I became a mom, because I think
Mm-hmm.
I used to know how to chill a little bit. I think I went through a bit of a chill phase when I was younger. But it was when I became a mom and then there's so much to do. I would say I never sit down. And like I think at that point I realized that I wanted to sit down, but I wasn't giving myself permission to do that. I kind of felt like it was really on me to just get everything done and make sure everything was in place. And there was a lot of weight and pressure that came along with that. And yes, what you said about how that's where the creativity comes from, like to
Mm-hmm.
actually have those quiet moments, because I think when we're so driven and, we're not going nonstop, we're in our left brain, we're in our logic brain. And, sometimes when you're looking, especially when you're looking at a problem, like if there's something that you're struggling with and that's going on in your life, I often talk to my clients about this. You can stare at that same problem for hours and not come up with any other solutions because the out of the box solutions are not going to appear when you're in that state, like you're not
Hmm.
going to be able to. So that, yeah, like that's where you're right, the creativity and just looking at things from a different angle and having that ability to just take a step back and let some space and some light and some love come into it. Oh, it's just makes all the difference in the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good,
Yeah.
that's a really good one. Yeah. So pleasure and do nothing, I think so much.
Pleasure and do nothing and lounge.
Hmm. Hmm.
And receive, like be open to receiving while you're in that state, because when I was in that state, I was like closed, like contracted, and I wasn't open to, like, I was just feeling anxiety. I wasn't open to like loving that moment. I was
Oh,
thinking, I need to be productive right now, and this is laziness.
yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely being open to receiving in that state and knowing that it's okay to slow down and look after yourself.
Hmm.
Have fun. Like, just have fun in this process of life. Like,
I
this
know.
is serious all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. We need a lot more of that, I think, all of us. So this is a good reminder to just
Hmm.
to go and do nothing. So I'm just trying to think of other things like when it comes to business, or sorry, giving ourselves permission um, in our own work in our own business. I think that, like, I don't know, I'm curious for you sort of how that shifted your business. Like, did it change the direction that you went in? Did it kind of change, your approach of working with your clients? Just when you sort of realized that you could, right? Like, you didn't have to
Hmm.
stay on this one track. How did that all turn out for you?
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. That was more like allowing myself to succeed in business. I think it was like, as we're talking about giving yourself permission, I think it was more like I allowed myself to succeed. And so it wasn't like a cut, from one day to the next. It was like, okay, what do I need to do to step up? What are the things I need to cut out of my life? Who are the people and the energies I need to cut out of my life? How do I need to show up? What do I need to stop doing and saying to myself? What are the practices that I need to put into place to step up in my business? And I think that in doing that, it's like, creating a habit. It's not like from one day to the next. You
Mm-hmm.
don't like get a six pack from one day to the next. It's like
Mm-hmm.
gradual and it's incremental. And I think that success is like greeted through one step at a time and not like huge jumps, because then it's just like we wouldn't be able to handle that
Yeah.
anyway, right? In the same way that we wouldn't be able to handle a six pack like from one day to the next. Although
I could
maybe
handle
I would.
that.
I would. But you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think it's like in the saying, deciding, being like, you know what, today I'm gonna ride the wave of like gratitude and be all in and do the things I said I was gonna do. And then the next day I do the same thing and the same thing, and it just
Hmm.
builds every single day. And not look back. Like
Yeah.
there's no need to look back at all.
Hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Chelsea?
Well, I just wanted to just kind of touch on what you said because I think that's so important because so often, we see the end results of other people's success. Like we see someone
Yeah.
that has been really, putting these steps in one after the other, and that dedication and that diligence and often the discipline that comes with that. And so many of us, I know I used to kind of be like that, where I would see someone else's results and not really
Mhm.
realize that they worked hard. Like they didn't just flip a switch and all of a sudden, they were where they are, right? So it's like I think that it's helpful to hear that and to hear, and to speak to that, right? Just how that is really how it works. There is time. It's this love that, it slowly builds up. And I think, as you, like you said, you kind of started to slowly pivot, a little bit at a time. It
Mhm.
wasn't like overnight. I know for me with my work, I think touching back on, how we were talking about that state that we were in before we were really letting ourselves relax, that almost started to turn into like a pressure cooker. You know, like for me, it was like, again, I hit a state of burnout and exhaustion. And so it was almost like I kind of had to, like I was forced at some point, just because my body wouldn't do what I was demanding of it anymore. You know, like I got sick and I had to stop. And that was sort of, again, I mean, anytime something bad happens to me, like I actually have this live I want to do coming up soon about how I was in a car accident a couple of years ago, and that actually preceded that too. But that was one of the best things that's ever happened to me, this car accident, right? So these like things that happen that feel kind of awful at the time can actually be these blessings in disguise, and this sort of not tap on the shoulder of like, hey, you know, things need to change. So for me, it was the sequence of events where, again, and this pressure cooker feeling of this is not working, and things really did have to almost implode, um,
Mm-hmm.
for me to start looking at those shifts. And then when I did, I mean, I was tired, and I just, with my background, I knew, you know, to heal. I know how to heal from burnout. And a lot of that is just letting yourself rest, you know, giving yourself, your body, the chance to heal and regenerate. And so I had that sort of, just kind of, it was part of my treatment plan, really,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my self-imposed treatment plan to just rest and relax. And as I did that, same thing that you were saying before, it's like the light came in. You know, it wasn't just this uncomfortable pressure cooker situation anymore. It was like, oh, I can do this. And it was right around that time that I started dancing. And that's been it's one of my creative outlets, and it's one of my things that also pushes me in a different way. Um, because it was scary. I mean, I wanted to push myself and join a dance troupe that performed. And so I had never done that before. I wasn't a dancer. I danced when I was 6, and then I stopped. So for me, it was like, you know, all of a sudden, and I had never ever thought about it. It really interesting. It's just like this light switch went on, and that area of my life that was lacking and I needed to really start to explore, it was just all of a sudden illuminated. So again, it's
Mm-hmm.
so beautiful how all of this happens. So,
Yeah.
and giving myself permission again to be creative, to be, you know, a mom, a woman who was going to take that time for herself. I remember, like, at my little girl was in dance. My daughter was in dance, and it was like, I hope I didn't scar her too much from this, but I kind of, I wouldn't say I forced her to go into dance, but I had her in dance from age 2. So I think it was like subconsciously that I loved dance, right? I had her in dance from
Mm-hmm.
age 2, and she got to a point where she said, Mama, I want to quit. And I would say, no, you don't. You don't want to quit. You love dance.
Oh, great.
And finally, she's like, no, I really don't. I want to quit. And I'm like, okay. And I used to be that mom that would go in the back, you know, like the backstage for their performances and
Mm-hmm.
help with all the hair and makeup. And again, there was this like light bulb moment. I was back there, backstage, watching these little girls about to go on stage, and that feeling of like, I want that for myself. And then then I was like, okay, Sophie, you quit. I'm gonna start dancing.
You're gonna dance. It's your turn.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing how that all happened.
That's such a great story, how we like push our kids to be and do more. And in fact, like, really like we want to be and do more. So that was a
Yeah.
great moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm happy that she, you know, because now she's doing something she loves, right? And she's kind of figured that out on her own. And I think that, yeah. And now we're both happy. It's great.
So she's not dancing at all anymore.
Well, it's interesting because she's cheerleading now, and she's just started.
Oh, okay. So similar.
And it's like the perfect sport for her because there is dance, there is
Yeah.
gymnastics, and I mean, it's amazing. She's changed overnight. She can do these crazy things. And you know, her strength and her flexibility. And she's really strong. She's always been the kid that wants to pick up other kids and carry them around.
Hmm.
And now she's
Hmm.
doing that, you know, like she's the one lifting up these flyers. And she's got a dance routine. It's interesting. We were talking about this last night. So they've had, because she's in a competitive track, so they've had choreographers come from the US for her team, and she's going to be competing. And we're going to Niagara in a little while.
Oh
So
yeah, that's right. You are going
yeah.
there soon.
So anyways, I was talking to her because she showed me the dance routine, and I was like,
Mhm.
do you like that there's dance as part of it? And she was like, yeah, I mean, this is, it's sort of the perfect mix for her. So I think that's nice to find that. And I just, it's one of my wishes for anyone, that's really needing a little bit more joy and pleasure in their life, to find that thing, to find what they love
Mhm.
that really lights them up and that really inspires them, so that they can just, I mean, I think when you have that in your life, it just changes everything. It changes your outlook.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's healing.
Yeah.
I'm really healing about it. So,
Yeah, it's healing and it's, a way for you to do something different and then get a different result, right? And in many, many areas of your life. So, yeah, I mean, you must be like totally not to a totally different person now, but just the fact that now you take dance and that's something that you want to do is perform, like I'm sure that opened up a slew of, all the other like your life, your business, like other things that you allowed for in your life because that, you really wanted to pursue that.
yeah, I think so. It was like a missing piece, like this puzzle piece that, was gone for quite a long time.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is it also opened up a whole area of healing that I didn't realize that I needed to
Mhm.
go through, because there's something about, even like with what we're doing, there's something about just being seen and
Yeah.
putting yourself out there, right? And that was a different forum. I found that a lot easier because I was so shy and kind of withdrawn growing up. But I found performing, maybe it's because you're doing it with a group and there's
Um,
choreography. It's not like I'm
yeah.
out there doing like a solo dance
Yeah.
performance or anything like that. But I found for my journey, the whole process that I've gotten to be able to speak publicly, and to speak about important things that are near and dear to my heart.
Mhm.
That was a bigger challenge for me, and there was a lot of healing in that too. So I think that that's one of the cool things. It's like this paradox that as you expand in your life and as you grow, and as you bring more pleasure into your life, you learn more, you heal more, and it just keeps going. I think that's going to happen as long as we're
Absolutely.
alive.
Well, I'd love to like round off this conversation by telling our audience like, well, number one, where do you need more permission? Really, it's been like all about permission to have fun and pleasure and then invite like more into your life of the things that you love doing and how that would shift your perspective and your life. So I would love for the audience to just comment below, and even in the future, if you're watching this live stream in the future, just to comment on where you are lacking or where you would love to give yourself permission or allow yourself to take in more fun, pleasure, lounging, all of that stuff, right, into your life, and how it would help shift it as well.
Yeah.
I also want to promote both of our groups, our Facebook groups. They're free Facebook groups, and I think that well, if you're a woman, you can join. Yours is exclusive to women too, right?
Um, Sorry, I just got this really weird notification that came on my phone about some
So,
account
so
being overcharged, and I got really distracted. I wish you could close down all your notifications. Maybe there's a way to do that. I
I
didn't
know,
hear your
right?
question. Can you repeat
So,
it?
so your group, Rebel Grace Squad, that's exclusive to women, right?
Yes, it is exclusive to women.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only ever had one man that wanted to join. I think that, yeah, for right now, that's just women only.
Yes. So if you have any questions for me or Chelsea, just you can reach out to us, private message us if you want to learn more about what we do in our work, how we empower the lives of beautiful women. Then you can private message us. But we will be providing the links to our free Facebook group. So mine is called Manifest and Thrive for Business Goddesses, and Chelsea's is Rebel Grace Squad.
Mhm.
And we will put those links in, and you can join them. And we provide a ton of value in those groups, and it's a lot of fun. And I would also love, Chelsea, like I'm just like taking the liberty to say this, but I think it would be great for our audience to talk about what it is that they want to hear in our next Facebook Live, like our next Girl Talk on giving
Yes.
yourself permission. Like, what do you want to hear about? What do you want to be inspired about when it comes to allowing more into your life and giving yourself permission to be more, do more.
Yeah, and just
All
how
of
through what we're sharing, how we might be able to support you in that. I think that these conversations are really um, just, I mean, it's helpful for me to talk to you
them.
and to just, but it's also helpful for me to hear these questions and to see what other people are going through, if there's any way that, you're feeling stuck. Because I think that the opposite of giving yourself permission, it's like feeling trapped or stifled. So,
Yeah.
it's something for everyone to just kind of think about, because again, sometimes you don't know it. It's like, it's hidden from your view, it's concealed. So if there's any
Mhm.
area in your life right now where you're feeling like you might be feeling a limitation or a lack of options, or it's just really like you're feeling that angst that we were talking about before, that pressure cooker situation, that's
Yeah.
a really clear signal that you might need to give yourself permission in some shape or form. So that's something to just maybe kind of take away and sit with and think about. Like, if I'm feeling any of those things, then it's a clue, it's a message, and maybe listen to it before you hit burnout or you hit, like some sort of uncomfortable situation that happens. Because yeah, reach out, even send us, if you don't feel comfortable commenting, send us a private message, and
Mhm.
it would be great for us to just have a little bit of real life stuff that we can talk about. But I know we've got all sorts of stuff we'll be sharing
Absolutely.
about as well, just from our own personal experiences. And just because this is such a juicy topic, it really is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff.
It
So
is. It really, really is.
I just wanted
Yeah.
to see, Valerie, is that you that's watching? I know Valerie, she posted a
Hey,
comment.
Val.
Um, she posted a comment when we were talking about giving ourselves permission to just chill and do nothing, and she was agreeing that she was having some struggle with that. I'm not sure if it's Valerie watching, but
Mhm.
anyways, hi Valerie, and hi whoever else that is.
I actually can't see the comments because I guess because
Oh,
like, I'm
you're a
on
guest.
your live stream or something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. So, and that was Valerie. Is Valerie in Hawaii? She said aloha as well to
Yeah.
us. Um, lucky girl. I'm gonna be there in December. Oh, hi, that is
Oh, there's
Valerie. So
Maggie
Valerie says
Christine. She's
aloha. I can,
commenting too. I can see.
you can. Well, thank you for being with us, Valerie. Before we go today, do you have any questions or insights or anything, anything that you want to hear us talk about in upcoming chats? Hopefully you can make it next time too.
This is fun.
I love this. I know. I was thinking maybe we'll do this more than just 4 times. this,
Yeah.
this
It's
might
like
be a
a
regular
series.
series because it is. It's pretty
Yeah.
great. Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
So Valerie says yes. Awesome. All right. So anything else that you wanted to
No.
say or chat about to close off? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're
Thanks so
going
much for
to
watching, everyone.
sign off. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Mhm.
Thank you, Leah.
Yeah. Thanks, Chelsea.
And yeah, we'll see everyone back in a week from today. I can't wait. Thank you, Valerie. Nice to see you here. And can you see her message?
No, I
You see
can't.
it.
I can
Okay.
just see a notification.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So Valerie
Yeah.
just says thank you to us for this live.
Thank
Lots of
you.
love, and you know what? Happy to be here.
Awesome. Have
Okay.
a great rest of your day. Bye,
You
Chelsea.
too. Bye.